Let's invite the final team for the global competition, Ace from United Kingdom.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And we are Team Ace in Lancaster, and I'm Derek. I'm the team leader. And I'm trying to provide the solutions according to its urgency, financial impact, and complexity. For the first two issues, it relates to creating new values for the group, and it has a relatively high urgency, financial impact, and complexity. And the remaining three scenarios are related to manage existing problems, to promote existing operation, and it has a relatively lower urgency, financial impact, and complexity. In order to provide solutions to be more actionable, we're trying to follow the mission and vision in the Volkswagen Strategy 2025 and about its culture. So right now, my teammate Christy and Yeung and I will also provide the solution according to the general decision criteria from results from SWOT analysis, customer satisfaction, and long-term sustainability.
Thank you, Derek. The top and the highest priority for us is e-mobility. It is a major component of Volkswagen 2025 strategy, and we believe that it's very urgent, complex, and it has a high financial impact on the group. Although the group has been eager to develop the EVB technology, the supplier Panasonic relationship
is the only sponsor.
We've gained a lot of transferable skills that
offer a short-term and a long-term solution. In the short term, we suggest using supplier 2 as we could benefit from the lowest cost production of all the options, and we could use competitive pricing strategy to increase our market share. And in the long run, we believe that customers' expectation will grow, so we believe supplier 4 would be the best option, as we could lower our storage costs from the just-in-time inventory method, and this could increase our net profit ratio as well as return on investment. And other alternative ways that provided by the group is to decide according to these strategic decisions. And we believe that centrality to the whole product, critical to performance, are of high impact as its impacts on the quality, the safety, and technical issues of the EVB development, whereas the confidentiality, they could help the group to secure the assets and maintain a long-term sustainable profit. Whereas the 5 factors are of medium importance, as we believe they indirectly affect the EVB development, whereas internal competency and time to market are of low importance, as there are variable factors that are controllable in the long run. We believe that the best option is to acquire an EVB supplier. This is because it's the highest efficient way to meet the time, budget, and quality of the EVB. However, if the market research shows that there's a huge risk and cost when with mislead by information gap, we believe that there could be alternative options such as joint venture and developing it internally.
The issue too is about if Volkswagen should develop both new engine and the MVB technology. It is an urgent and complex issue because Volkswagen has to make the right decision in a short time notice. We decided to choose the option 1, which is develop both new engine and the MVB technology, and the reasons are as follows. Firstly, the option 1 has the highest cash outflow due to the highest development cost, but the cost will transform into company's asset in the long term for the company's sustainability. Secondly, the option 1 is the only option that meets the emission regulation. It helps the company to boost the brand image and meet the customer satisfaction. Lastly, the option 1 has the highest extra income, which is the highest return on investment. It is a good sign for the investors. In summary, the cash flow in the short term, the cash flow may have a burden, but in the long run, we believe that meeting our general decision criteria will be beneficial for the company's long-term sustainability.
In the previous 2 issues, we provide ways to create new values to the company, and the remaining issues would concern how we could solve the internal problems of the company. For issue 3, we consider maintaining a stable supply, cobalt supply is the main issue. And in the short run, we believe that the group's suggestion of reaching an agreement with artisanal mining operators in Republic of Congo would be the best option in the short term. However, in the long term, this will buy time for the group to find another alternative way, which is in the long run. We believe that in the short term, if the group provides forecasting reports and guidelines such as working conditions, minimum wages, and the environmental protection guidelines, this could help to maintain a feasible way for the group to reduce oppression. And if the group provides training that embeds with business ethics, this could help to improve the knowledge of the citizens in Rwanda, and this could also help them to improve their quality of life. And in the long run, we suggest conducting market research to find out ways if we could continue with this strategy or whether to negotiate with the giant mining operators.
Okay, the fourth issue is about Volkswagen long-term profitability. Mr. Herbert, the new CEO, has just suggested 3 ways. The first strategy is centralizing function units, the second one is new categorization of brands, and the third one is focus on premium car segment. Firstly, we analyzed the results from centralizing function units and with the use of 3-point forecasting methods. The result shows that there is a decrease in cost per car, so we suggest this option in the short run. However, the group should also make a clear authority in order to prevent fraud and scandal. And for the second strategy, although this strategy helps to reduce the cost and increase the efficiency of resource usage, but it violates the major and the fundamental concept of accounting, so the stakeholders cannot generate a clear understanding for the company, and also the human resources may not be utilized, so we do not suggest these suggestions, due to it will damage the stakeholder satisfaction and long-term sustainability. Finally, the group could focus on premium car segment in the long run due to it increase the operating profit margin. However, it damaged the group's range, which is like the widest brand portfolio. So we suggest the Volkswagen should centralize functional unit in the short run and focus on premium car segment in the long run.
The last issue is about regionalizing the product portfolio. It is not urgent and complex, but it has a relatively high financial impact. The Volkswagen has suggested 2 strategic options, and we make the following 2 opinions. Firstly, we suggest Volkswagen not to reduce the price for the volume segment car, as the total revenue will decrease due to the inelastic demand for the volume segment cars. It will also give the wrong impression for the customers that the cars have a low quality, that further damage the company's reputation. Secondly, we suggest Volkswagen to cease the production for its volume for its commercial and passenger cars. Although those 2 brands have a relatively high profit margin, the scandal on those 2 brands that might lead to a sales volume decrease in the future, and the new car model life cycle may be less profitable in the future.
So therefore, we think our solutions will help the Volkswagen groups to rebuild the trust from its customers and also investors. However, in order to implement effectively, we think the groups should also consider for this 6 risk, and also prevent it and reduce the risk through our suggestion for the mitigation and contingency plan. For instance, the group could transfer the risk to its project partners if the project does not do it on time. And because this is, we think that this one is a very high risk, and we do think that our mitigation plan could help to reduce the risk from high risk to medium risk. So we do think that all our solutions are based on the general decision criteria, and these are the general summary for our solutions. And we are welcome to any questions right now. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I thought your slides were particularly good in representing your presentation. And I also recognize the challenge of language for people who do not naturally speak English. So I want to just say we understand that. At the moment, I'm going to pass to my colleagues. I don't have questions, but I have a feeling a question's going to arise as it goes to the right.
Thank you for the presentation. You selected 2 suppliers, one for the short-term supplier 2 and one for longer term. Now, if you look at supplier 2, they provide you with a 6-month contract, which means if you considered all the costs that you incur to bring one supplier in and then take him out and bring another supplier in, and the impact at the end of the day. So if you can just talk to us in terms of your thinking, because it seems that you went for the lowest cost. We're looking for long-term sustainability, and I believe that it would be disruptive having a very short-term contractor and then a longer-term one after that.
Okay. We believe that in short term, it means that around 2 years would be our short term. And we chose supplier 2 not only because of the lowest cost, but also they have the largest, the maximum production capacity. This would allows us as a group to catch on developing the EVB technology. And supplier 2 would be a short-term supplier for us because we would like to abandon our poor relationship with the Panasonic supplier who actually violates our agreements and went on with Tesla. So we believe that in order to catch up with the production of the e-mobility, we would use supplier as our short-term goal, short-term strategy, and we would use supplier 4 in the long term. And this would allow us to do more research on whether suppliers or other suppliers available in the market. Yeah, I hope this answers the question.
In your analysis, did you also consider if you want to, in the future, want to acquire? Would that change the way that you look at your ultimate conclusion?
Okay, yeah. We believe that acquiring an EVB supplier also goes back to our previous choosing which supplier is the best for us. So we believe that in the short term, we would use supplier 2 first, and then in the long run, we would get more time to find out whether acquiring an EVB supplier would be our best option, or whether having a joint venture or developing internally would be the best option. Yeah, what we are concerned is to buy us time to figure out in order to lower the risk of information gap. Yeah.
And also, we want to make more options for the groups to select, and because we are right now is in for the case study right now is in 2018, and there's a lot of uncertainty. For example, is for Brexit and also the trade war from US and also the China. So we don't want the Volkswagen groups to make a wrong decision during the short-term period and also for the uncertainty. So that's why we put a lot of options that we are trying to if the group could make a better research and to see which one is the best options. And so we provide a lot of solutions for our analysis.
Cool. Thank you very much for the presentation. In the issue number 3, in the strategic sourcing of cobalt in Africa, I really like your approach when you mentioned that you are really focusing to provide more social benefit into the communities and into Africa by sourcing from there. However, I would like to get your views specifically on the bad press and the situation that sourcing mining in cobalt in DRC is done by minors, and then of course is not going to be a proper supplier ethical thing to do, right, for Volkswagen. So, what are your views on that, and what is your suggestion for the board how we need to approach that?
Okay, we believe that artisanal mining operators do have a lot of issues such as child labor, and we suggest a group to provide specific guidelines such as like the working time for the people, so that this could allow them time to develop more skills, such as the training provided, as I mentioned. This would allow them to develop more skills to enter perhaps the company to develop EVB technology, and this would allow a more ethical option. And I believe that we believe that having a good
maybe I just adding some points for it. I do think that there may be some problems when we make an agreement with the artisanal mining operators, but I do think that we do think that there's a right for Volkswagen Group to choose whether they want to cooperate with that mining operators or not. The best way is to do is like if the operators are violating some rules or like some ethical issues, they could we could find another ways for another like mining operators for managing, or like finding another agents for managing all this kind of things. So we do think that stable supply is our major objective from these issues. So in the long run, if you think that artisanal mining operators is not the best options, you can like make a vertical expansion for the whole company, like just starting a business in Africa and then to employ the current artisanal operators in order to make all the things to be ethical.
So if I understand correctly, your suggestion to the board is that you hope that based on your approach, that based on the training, they will not do child labor and they will develop themselves, is what you're proposing. Because for me, for us as a board, it's an actual issue, right? I appreciate that you want to develop, but it's still not concrete. How do you want to tackle it? And also, how do you want in the short term to avoid any issues, right? So we have a lot of ethical exposure already. We have the Dieselgate. Suddenly we are going to start in the short term, start sourcing from cobalt from DRC, where they have a bad reputation. So what are your suggestions to the board, how we are going to mitigate those potential risks?
We could suggest like having regional inspectors to actually go there and look at their working condition and making checklists so that they could have a proper guideline. So this would help to communicate with and give pressure as a big company to the artisanal mining operators, as well as for the education and training of the child labor. We believe that we would constrain them within like a reasonable amount of time for them to work, and then offer them training sessions so that they could have education at the same time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your presentation. I want to check two things with you. The first one, in the strategic structure and cost optimization area, you advise us to centralize the functional units in the short term. I actually wish you indicated which ones you're talking about, but since you didn't, I just want to clarify and to further understand the thinking behind it. So are you advising us to centralize functions such as pricing, HR, marketing, R&D, and so on? Did you consider what the chair said about the fact that we're looking for sustainable solutions and not just only profit-oriented actions? I know you consider the 2% savings, But did you think about the impact on the local markets? How are we going to develop sustainable solutions that will be customized for each market and that will improve or endear us to the people in that locality? You know, when you want us to make everything to work at corporate office level.
Thanks for your questions. Due to time limit, I just have a short answers. For example, we want to centralize for example, like human resources in order to make it much more sustainable. And also, we also think about to make a good authority. Because if for the human resources department, if there's too many authority, they will maybe happen for fraud or scandal again. It will affect. It's like we don't want to make it again because the groups has already made for other cases. Thank you very much.